Hey, welcome everybody. It's the CryptoLark here. I've got Alex from Nugget News.
Hi guys, how you going?
Mate from just across the water here in Australia. Very exciting stuff. Now we're going to be chatting all things crypto today. So,
Look forward to it, yeah.
I thought a really fun place to start off with, because we're from Australia, because I'm in New Zealand, and because it's the hot topic at the moment, PowerLedger.
Very much talk of the town at the moment, isn't it?
That's it. It's a project that I think a lot of people are excited about, but part of me feels like a lot of people are excited about it, not because they've actually researched it and maybe fully understand what PowerLedger's trying to do, but because they see, the typical Lamborghinis are coming to everybody kind of stuff. Do you kind of get a sense of this happening a bit on your comment section and things as well?
Definitely, yeah. There's posts, when you start to read posts every hour about the price going up and up and up, that attracts attention. But I think it's a good project. And if you've looked into the fundamentals of it, yeah, I think they've actually done some good deals and they're already starting to tick a few boxes. So there's every reason the price should be going up. Yeah, so I mean, I don't think it's a pump and dump, but I think it's a very interesting project. Have you looked into it a lot or just a little bit?
Yeah, quite a bit. I mean, I've done a review on it and got to interview Dr. Jemma Green, so it was,
Yeah.
very cool stuff. It's a very, very interesting project. Now, I thought one thing that could be fun is, to kind of maybe put some of these naysayers to sleep, or maybe to give some people some more information on the project. What if I take, the side of a skeptic or somebody who thinks that the project's not going to work or whatever, and you can, defend PowerLedger.
Yeah.
So, the power companies are never going to get on board with this.
Okay, so there's a couple of ways that I think about this. So we actually recently saw Origin Energy in Australia already trialing it. So some of the power companies are being open-minded and they've had meetings with, I think, even state governments, and they recently got that grant from the $8 million from the government to start implementing some trials. So I think there's definitely a degree of support there. And I think the answer I'm going to give is similar to the answer I get for cryptocurrency when people say, oh, what if a government makes Bitcoin illegal? I think it's a matter of that, even if that does happen, the countries that adopt Bitcoin, or, the towns that adopt PowerLedger are going to see great benefits. And then it's a matter of, the town next to them adopts it. And all of a sudden, even if they're the minority, if people start to adopt it and see the benefit, then the big power companies realize they've either got to adopt it or at least compete if it's a better model. That would be my answer in the way I think about it. If you've got a good technology and it's going to improve things for the better, maybe government push back to some degree, but I think at the end of the day, if it's a good project, it's going to shine.
Yeah, and I was talking about this in my live stream today. I'll get back to being a skeptic in a second, but I was talking about this in my live stream today, and actually I was thinking, even if it was just Australia, it would give unbelievable value to the PowerLedger project, and I think there's definite interest for this exact kind of project in Australia, and that the government's not going to come out and hinder this in any way. Actually, quite the opposite in Australia. And actually, with the recent Indian partnership with Tech Mahindra.
Yeah. So David Martin is flying over there on Wednesday, and they're already talking about setting up, 450 microgrids. So as you say, even if the Australian government or an Australian company try and fight it, there's all these other countries that can adopt their blockchain very easily and that have no competition in some of these places. So it's going to be, just like we see some countries skip the whole middle infrastructure of power lines, they might skip these whole the middle infrastructure and move straight to decentralized models, which is really cool to see in developing countries.
Yeah, gosh, that's such an exciting point that I think a lot of people don't think about. They're thinking from their perspective, well, I'm here sitting here in a Western country and I get my power from a power company. So many places don't even have power yet. There's no lines, there's no roads. But if you set up a decentralized system, that these little villages, these small towns, these counties, provinces, whatever, can really benefit from it. Okay, let me be a skeptic again. So, in Australia, there is a big surge currently of people buying home-based solar. Why the heck is anyone going to need PowerLedger if we've all just got solar panels on our roofs?
I think, well, you can always sell it. You can use that to your advantage. So if you've got power solar panels on your roof and your neighbor doesn't, hopefully you can sell your power to them. More people with solar panels, even if you then become in the minority, you're the guy without them. That's actually might be an advantage because it becomes very competitive for everyone around you to sell their power to you. So the free market will decide what price power is and all that sort of thing, whether it's more beneficial to buy the panels or to buy it off someone else. And this is going to be pretty interesting to watch it all play out when you think about things like that. And then all of a sudden the power companies want to compete somehow. So it's a very interesting story that we get to watch unfold in our own backyard. So I'd hate to see this innovation get stifled.
I don't think it is going to get stifled. I mean, New Zealand's made one or two moves recently that have been kind of anti-solar. We passed sort of basically a solar tax last year, which wasn't beneficial to the whole movement, but that's a different story perhaps. Now, what about line rentals? Now, this is something that I see a lot of people saying, well, yeah, okay, that's nice if Bob can buy power from Alice, but you still have to use the lines. Isn't that a problem? Isn't that going to bring this whole project down?
Well, that's certainly not my something that I'm probably the most qualified to speak about. So I think if you're going to start using government infrastructure, there has to be some sort of compromise made, I guess. It's a bit like the NBN rollout in Australia here, which has been an absolute nightmare. It's, well, do individuals privately start having to pay for these connections to their own premises? And I mean, even if you're in we're talking about, you and I in our own house, but if you're in a commercial setting, then hey, maybe if you've got all these solar panels and all these batteries, and maybe it's worth you paying for these private lines to the surrounding businesses, or you build a new block of flats and you pay for it all yourself if you can see the return on investment over the coming years. But as I said, I'm certainly no expert on how government infrastructure and private companies are going to want to charge.
It depends on the different jurisdictions as well. One thing, actually, I think we could take it back to the previous answer, was actually no one's really accounted for businesses. Businesses actually consume such a huge amount of energy that you're not home during the day when you're not using your energy. Your Tesla wall battery thing's already full. What are you going to do with all extra energy? Of course, you're going to sell it to the company, which literally can't generate enough power off of its roof to power its stuff. So I think there's always going to be a market for this. But one thing that I think with the line rentals as well, I don't know how it works in Australia, and it might actually be different from state to state and territory or whatever. But here in New Zealand, for example, different companies own the different lines, so you'd probably still have to pay that line rental fee regardless. But so I might pay 6 cents per unit for the line rental fee, but then I'm also paying in New Zealand, my last power bill I was probably paying 22 cents, so that would be what, 16 cents per unit of power. Now if I can take that down to 7 cents, I still have to pay that line rental fee, but the line rentals, it's there to be rented. They want to make the money, they don't want to not make the money. So does it work kind of similar in Australia where you basically pay a line rental fee?
To be honest, mate, I've never looked at the bill in that detail. We just get the power bill with the figure down the bottom, and I've never looked in the specs, so I'm sorry to let the viewers down with that one.
Yeah, that's all right.
In Tasmania, I know we've got some of the most expensive power in Australia, even though we've got abundant power and a hydro dam. So very expensive power in Tasmania and all around Australia, really.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting too. You mentioned the hydro dams, for example. This might even let really more competition come into that. I know the main idea of PowerLedger is really, focusing on solar and the home people in that way. And that when I talked to Jemma Green, that's one thing she said. Well, we're really kind of focusing on solar, but of course there's other applications too. Imagine you have, a farm and you have a bunch of windmills out back. Well, you could be selling that potentially, or this might actually incentivize people to start perhaps small hydro projects, which might sound kind of crazy at the start of it, but why not? If there's market for them to sell that to.
one of the things that's funded with that $8 million Australian government grant for PowerLedger is the little trial. It's vehicle charge as well as rainwater, wastewater treatment. They're trying to make a whole little ecosystem. So as you say, not just the solar panel side of things, which is really cool.
Okay, and my final skeptic point here, now that Dr. Jemma Green is the mayor of Perth, she's not going to have the time to make this project successful, therefore it will fail.
Well, I'm trying to think of the right politically way to phrase this. So women are better at doing two things at once than men. And there's what 96% men in cryptocurrency, 4% women. So I think she's got every chance to prove everyone wrong and hit a home run.
Yeah, very possibly. And of course, the thing here too is that PowerLedger's a huge team. She's just one of many bricks in a big, beautiful wall.
Yeah.
And actually, I think having her in a political position of power can only serve to benefit what they're trying to do. And obviously, Western Australia is the big place they're pushing for this at the moment. So I couldn't see any better position for her to be in and to have this association with PowerLedger Company.
I definitely think we've come to the conclusion that this is a good project.
Lamborghinis to the moon!
Patience. I tell people patience. I think people will expect to log in and see that their account's green every single day, and investing isn't that easy.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And that's one thing I always say on my channel as well, is just, guys, relax. There's always going to be opportunities to get in, and we may not, I don't know if we're going to see a 10-cent PowerLedger again, but certainly moving forward, we've seen a lot of exuberance and run up in PowerLedger in the past couple of days, so very possible pullback coming up. But long term, it's got mind-blowing potential to tech revolutionize the way we do business with our power companies. It also has a great investment potential as well, which I know most people are interested about the money. I geek out on the tech and the potential of all this stuff to change the world, and I'll take the Tesla. Actually, I don't want a Lamborghini, not my style.
Yes. Yeah. I like it.
Now, there's a lot of other really exciting projects coming out of Australia. Horizon State is one. Unfortunately, I had a few people chase me. Lark, you gotta check this out. You gotta review it. You gotta look into it. I only had 15-minute look at the website or something, but I know it's a project that has done really well. Post ICO has seen a good growth for the investors, but also is delivering a really interesting project. Can you tell us a bit more about what the heck that is and what exactly they're doing?
So they're trying to decentralize the whole democratic process. So, the first one that comes to mind is the voting system. And again, we're pretty lucky in Australia and New Zealand that we've got pretty structured political systems, I guess. So that, countries that are, developing nations are where this can really start to change things powerfully, and we can see honestly who's elected. There's no questions whether or not Donald Trump got the number of votes he did, and all that sort of thing. But I mean, this can be applied to corporate structures as well. So shareholders can vote. It's all open and transparent. The best direction for any sort of projects or governments. And I think they're reducing the cost of the voting system by 100-fold. I think it's roughly $7 a head in Australia, and they're going to get that down to 7 cents or less, I think. So that was another one that was up as much as 1,000% post ICO. So yeah,
amazing.
I think they just got listed on one exchange today, and there's been a bit of a sell-off, but I think they're getting listed on Cryptopia as we speak, and Livecoin tomorrow, and another big exchange in the near future. So again, these are sort of projects that I like because they're boring on the surface and they reward people that are genuinely interested in crypto. They get to be the beneficiaries.
Yeah, and they solve real world problems. This is the thing. I've always said that, one of the great use cases for blockchain will be voting moving forward. There's so many cases of voter fraud around the world. But even then, if you can do it in a decentralized way where you can access that platform with your verified IDs, say you've got an account with Civic, for example, and that's how you verify you are who you are. You go on to your Horizon State account. In fact, the Australian government makes you sign in. You can't use the internet on that day because you guys have mandatory voting over in Australia. So you can't use the internet until you've voted, and it just comes up on everybody's screen. It's the first thing, for example, right?
Yeah.
Amazing.
yeah, and they've got a great team. Jamie is a guy that's been pretty active in the community in Australia. Yeah, and you see good people, you see them doing good work and projects with a good, honest message. And yeah, I'm like happy to hold on to those long term as well.
Yeah, that's it. You know, good projects should be held on to, and this is the thing. I don't put any money into things that I don't think are good projects. You know, so I'm long on most of my positions, which I'm very happy to do because I look at them and yeah, okay, you always have to kind of keep in knowledge that, well, maybe I will never achieve the Bitcoin value. Bitcoin might outpace some of these different projects, but that's fine if you're looking at it as, okay, well, I'm still achieving the dollar value and I'm still supporting really great projects. And some people will never be convinced past the dollar point, you know, but how much do you need? I guess so when it comes to some of these projects, 1,000% growth in Horizon States sounds pretty good to me, right?
Mhm. And I think they, again, another one that's probably not on many people's radars still, and they've already achieved that. I think they're going to have a big few announcements in the next, the coming months, because they've been working behind the scenes for over a year. Whereas, you know, these projects that are thrown together and have an ICO and a white paper, but people that were genuinely trying to help solve these real world issues before Ethereum and the ICO platform came along, and that just gave them the means to speed up what they were doing. Another reason why I really like these sort of projects.
Yeah, they're fantastic projects coming out recently. Unfortunately, New Zealand hasn't had any very exciting ICOs for a while, but hopefully there will be some coming out soon. But keep my ear to the ground. Haven't heard anything yet. Now there was another one you were telling me about before we hit the record button earlier. It was is it Canya?
Canya.
Kenya.
Yeah, so they are basically trying to create a peer-to-peer marketplace. So I know a lot of people have heard of like TaskRabbit and those sort of things where you can find people to do any sort of jobs or qualifications. They've partnered with Endorse. Have you heard of Endorse? Where you can basically, someone can say that, yeah, if you're a builder, they can say, yeah, he's a good builder. So Endorse, endorse that you're good at what you do, and they've partnered with Canya. So they're trying to create this marketplace, yeah, peer-to-peer style, pay each other with cryptocurrencies, find good people near you doing good things. These guys are from the mainland Australia, and they had a crocodile hunter when I interviewed them as one of the first people that was on their marketplace. If you've got a crocodile in your backyard, he's on their peer to get it for you. So very cool.
That's to Australia. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's great.
Another cool thing with the Canya Club. So if you invest in Canya and you don't move your coins from your address, you automatically join their HODL club. And they've partnered with Endorse. They've partnered with another company called Digex, and they'll do airdrops. And they're looking for ways to, you know, reward the people that aren't there to pump and dump and are true investors in the space. So yeah, little things like that behind the scenes that show me the people care about their project and that sort of thing. It's sometimes those little things that you can tell people have got a good nature and they're a good team, which I like as well.
That's great. And, you know, what you just said there as well makes me think one thing about the space is that too many people, they see the potential gains and they just cash out straight away. And that actually hurts projects. And people don't kind of think about that actually a lot of these projects need long-term investment. They actually need people to hold on to them and need people to be invested in their community. Right? If you just say, well, I'm going to bank my 100% and I'm out of here. See you later. Thanks, project. It doesn't actually support the projects that you're excited about. That's why I'm, you know, excited about long-term holding.
And I think the people that are genuinely interested in, if they take the time to watch your videos or my videos, you know, when Ethereum ran from $10 to $100, if you know what the project's trying to achieve and understand that they're not there yet, then you don't sell. Whereas if you've just bought and you've seen green on the screen, you don't understand what you're invested in, you're more likely to sell. So that's all part of the fun, I think.
That's it. That's it. Absolutely. Now, one thing that you hear a lot in this space, usually from central bankers and all these different types, Bitcoin's in a bubble. It's all going to pop and fall to pieces, and we're all going to be left, you know, holding a bunch of digital numbers online that are worth nothing. What do you think? Is Bitcoin in a bubble?
I think it's certainly run very hard, very fast. Do you have any thoughts on it before I give my thoughts and influence you at all? Or?
No, you go ahead. You go ahead first. We'll take it from there.
So I did a video called "Can Bitcoin Reach $1 Million?" and it was a little bit of clickbait, but I wanted to present some points of view of the market caps of other things. So Apple's nearly at $1 trillion. 4x the amount of money that goes through central banks around the world each day is in the trillions of dollars. So the market cap of gold is $7 trillion. So when Bitcoin's at 100 billion. In the scheme of things with central banks printing money and all that, I don't think it's in a bubble, but whether or not it needs to have a 50% pullback, you don't know, but I've been in Bitcoin for 5 years and we've seen this happen, 6 or 7 times now where we get these big, deep corrections and people panic and other people come in and buy. And I'm a big believer that unless America or someone big comes out and says, look, we're going to make Bitcoin illegal, maybe that's enough to cause it to have a sustained downtrend. Start of the year when Bitcoin was $1,000, that China were going to ban it and ban ICOs, I would have said, oh, it's probably going to go lower. But here it is at $10,000 and it keeps going higher. So you just don't know.
That's it. Yeah, I'm much of the very similar thought. When I hear Bitcoin's in a bubble, I've done a few videos as well talking about, well, let's look big picture here. It's something like, what, 0.1%, or actually I think even less. I don't remember the exact numbers anymore. It's been a few months since I did that video, but of the total, global assets, and it's nothing. It's just a blip on the radar at this point, and we forget this because we're focused in on it all the time. But the big banks, I mean, God, Wall Street, they do so much business every day, so much business every year, it makes Bitcoin look pathetic, actually, to an extent. It's definitely on the rise. Will there be pullbacks? Yeah, of course, it's Bitcoin. There'll be pullbacks, there'll be giant surges up. Putin will come out tomorrow, do something. The Chinese will do something. I don't know. Donald Trump will tweet something. It's highly irrational at the moment. And this is one thing that a lot of people don't always have the stomach for, perhaps, in the Bitcoin game, is they see it go down, they go, oh my god, I gotta get out of here. This whole cryptocurrency, I knew it was a scam. Somebody said, my uncle said it was a scam. I invested last week, it's down 10%. I'm out of here. I thought this was going to get me a Lamborghini, and it's not going to today.
I really like the term anti-fragile, where every time something happens, there's a hard fork and this is going to be better than Bitcoin, or Bitcoin fees are now too expensive, and then Bitcoin changes to being a better store of value. And no matter what you throw at it, it tends to just keep making it stronger and more resilient. And that just, again, fascinates me. And is it money? Is it a store of value? In 10 years' time, as everyone lost their hard drives and there's actually only 10 million Bitcoins in circulation instead of 20, we just don't know how this plays out.
That's exactly it. A lot of these addresses, I mean, they think about something like 1% per year is being lost forever. People die, whatever, houses burn down, different things happen. That's huge over a scale of time. People don't kind of think about that as well. But mass adoption's underway. It's starting. Coinbase is onboarding. They're always telling about how many people they're onboarding every day, and it's, some days it's 50. I heard they had 300,000 one day last week or something, which is totally crazy. That's just one company. One company of the many companies that are available, of all the people buying at Bitcoin ATMs, buying on Korean exchanges, buying on Japanese exchanges, on and on and on and on and on. The demand is surging, along with the price, of course, because so much new money is coming in. And as institutional money comes in, we're only going to see more increases moving forward. The $1 million Bitcoin will be an interesting thing to see someday, if we ever get there.
Let's hope so. I think there's one thing we discussed in that pre-interview was, is it a bubble when, the average man on the street starts telling you to buy stocks, and we all hear that's a sign of a bubble. But all these plumbers and builders that are into cryptocurrency, they've got in before any institutional investors and the so-called professionals have got in there yet. So it's almost a reverse bubble. And if the bubble pops, it's going to be the investors and hedge fund managers that got in last again. So another reason why I don't think that we can say this is a bubble.
That's a fantastic point. There's only a few big kind of investors in the space, and they're famous for being Bitcoin investors. People like Tim Draper, I think, first name, the Draper Fund. You know, they're been big in it for a while, but
Yeah.
the banks have been kind of hesitant. You know, they're just kind of starting to dabble a little bit, but it's going to happen really soon, where the big banks, the big money, flood in as well. So
Let's hope so.
I like your analogy. Let's move on to some of the biggest kind of disruptors in the space. Now, we're both kind of Nexus nerds, if you will, Nexus geeks.
Yes.
It's a very exciting project that we love. Now, for anyone who hasn't heard about Nexus, can you just give us a quick quick breakdown of what exactly Nexus does?
So yeah, I did my fundamental analysis on Nexus recently, and I guess in a nutshell, they're trying to build a decentralized internet. I think I did the maths that if they get 1,000 of these micro cube satellites into orbit, that's enough to give coverage to the entire planet. I think I did some round numbers that they could maybe do that for around $200 million. And again, in the market cap scheme of things in crypto, that's pretty realistic.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'd be pretty cool to have a decentralized internet. You need Nexus to use their blockchain and stuff like that. Is there anything in particular you love about it, or?
One of the things that, well, besides the founders, because the Cantrell guys are some pretty interesting dudes. I loved their white paper, by the way. It was when he starts, like the last 3 pages of it are philosophy or something like that. This is fantastic. But one thing that I really like is the idea of future proofing. So they've made Nexus to be quantum resistant. So basically, the key is better than a quantum computer, at least at this stage, will be able to crack. So that for me was really interesting, that showing this is something we want to future proof. They're already ahead of the curve, basically. So
yeah.
And of course, the one thing as well that's really interesting about Nexus, and maybe not a lot of people know, is that Colin Cantrell, he's the one who's developing Nexus, but his dad, Jim Cantrell, actually is running a space rocket company. Do you remember the name of the space rocket company?
SpaceX, or he left SpaceX and sold all his shares to help fund to pay this new company. It's a very cool story. Anyway, I can't remember exactly what it was.
Yeah, I don't remember the exact details either, but if anyone can do it, it's these guys, without a doubt. They've got all the inside tracks they need to make something like this happen. Yeah. And they've been working on it for a very long time. Very active community. So
yeah. So did you have to close up? Did you have a one specky in particular, or one project that's not on anyone's radars you wanted to talk about? Or
yeah, absolutely. One that I have mentioned quite a few times on my channel, and it's kind of getting on a few people's radar, but still definitely down below the 100 mark on CoinMarketCap, is Sonam. And this is a Russian supercomputer, but they're going for so much more than that. They are, doing web hosting and stuff like this in a decentralized fashion, trying to do fog computing and all these things. So a really good team of developers behind it, good tech, super low market cap, a lot of potential moving forward, and will even offer dividends moving forward as well once they get the network up and running. So
cool.
Lots to like about it.
Yeah.
And what about you?
I haven't heard of that one. Oh, okay. So a scary one, just quickly, that's come to mind is the Singularity Net with the robot and the artificial intelligence. Have you seen that one?
No, I haven't.
So her intelligence is linked into their blockchain, and she can formulate responses and talk to you. And they've been touring around Australia. So I've done a fundamental analysis on that. That's very scary and interesting where AI goes. But one that I think is just so undervalued, it's been around for a couple of years, is Digex. So they're building gold-backed cryptocurrency. You'll collect dividends, but I think their market cap is like $130 million, and they actually hold $130 million worth of ETH. So the market's valuing the company and the project at zero, which to me is a no-brainer to buy. So,
Interesting. There are so many projects out there, and you're deeply involved in the space. It's hard to keep track of them all. 110%. Even I look at the top 100 and I think, well, I'm familiar with 50 of these.
And I'm sure you get messages every day saying you have to cover this one, you have to cover this one. Yeah.
We're trying, guys. We're trying. We're trying to get as many as we can. Yeah. No, it's fun though. It's a great learning process being involved in crypto YouTube. It's a good time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, awesome, Alex. Thank you, man. Thanks for taking the time. I always love chatting with other crypto people, so this has been a good time for sure.
I've loved it as well, Lark. So keep up the good work across the channel there.
Thank you. You too, man. You too. We'll probably keeping an eye. If you're not subscribed to Nugget News yet, there'll be a link down below, so you guys can go check that out.
Thank you very much, mate.